Welcome to the B. Andrews Radio Show, the 4th of July edition. We are so glad to have you with us today as we are coming to you July 4th, 2017, on a beautiful day here in central Wisconsin. You are listening to the B. Andrews Radio Show. I am one of your co-hosts, Eric Hambrock. That's because I'm one of the members of the B. Andrew Band. On the other side of the room is the other co-host, John. Say hey, John.
Hey!
And what a beautiful day it is outside. What a great time for the 4th of July. We've been having off and on rainy weather. And, you know, so tonight, the night of fireworks, actually fireworks has been going on all weekend long. So I don't know about where you are, where you're listening, but here in central Wisconsin, starting last Friday, we have had fireworks. On Saturday night, some of the towns had fireworks. On Sunday night, some of the towns had fireworks. Last night, there were fireworks going off. Kaboom, kaboom, boom, boom. And then kaboom, boom, 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 boom. You didn't hear them last night?
It was your onomatopoeia for it.
Oh, my bad.
It could have been better. Just saying.
All right.
And he was like, patooey.
Get the sound effects ready. Get the applause ready. I'm going to give you the onomatopoeia of the day. Are you ready? Boom! Thank you very much. No applause, just throw money. Anyway.
We'll have to try that again later.
Okay. So anyway, fireworks going off, lots of fun things happening all over the place, all kinds of parades, all kinds of festivals here in central Wisconsin coming right in and around the 4th of July weekend. But you know the greatest celebration and where it's coming from?
No.
The interstate.
Okay.
Seriously, because of the 4th of July weekend here in Wisconsin. I don't know if this is happening in the other states, but on the 4th of July weekend, because it was coming up and so celebrated, the governor of Wisconsin ordered all interstate construction to cease and all interstates to be opened up wide. Woo! That's a big old hoorah. Can we get another applause? Yeah, for the governor of Wisconsin. Thank you, Scott Walker, for thinking of us. So,
regardless if you don't like anything else he's done in office.
He has cleared the interstates for the 4th of July weekend. Seriously. So, I mean, right outside of our little town, Hancock, I-39 runs up and down, north and south. And there are 4 bridges that go over top of the interstate. And each one of those bridges right now are being sandblasted and painted. And so our little 2-lane interstate gets narrowed down to 1. And so everybody comes in. And you got that great big filtering.
Is that how they come in?
Yeah, they come in and they funnel down into 1 lane.
I'm so much better at onomatopoeias than you.
And everything funnels down into 1 lane and everything. Oh, and of course, it's mandatory here in Wisconsin that when you get to a construction zone, everything has to slow down to 55 miles an hour. And the law was just passed that if you are on the phone, it is illegal and you can be arrested if you are on the phone in a work zone.
Wow.
Yeah, harsh. Seriously harsh. So anyway, yeah, seriously harsh. Because they don't want you to be talking on the phone. They want you to be fully aware that there is construction going on around you. And I kid you not, the other day that when they were moving barrels, getting ready for the 4th of July weekend, and I was driving up there was a guy moving a barrel who was out in the lane on that side of the barrel in my lane, trying to move the barrels back over off the road into the other side manually. And I'm thinking, dude, if you want to get hit, that's the easiest way. It's not people paying attention. It's you stepping out into oncoming traffic. Anyway, just saying. But thank you, Governor Scott Walker. The barrels have been removed and the lanes are wide open. And our closest major town is about 35 miles north of us. And I was actually able to get there in 30 minutes the other day. It was sweet. I haven't been able to do that for a long time. So thank you, Governor Scott Walker. So we just wanted to take a few minutes in this first section of the show and kind of talk about traffic. As band, we get around a little bit, different places, and every city that we have driven through has road construction going on it. We have not avoided road construction. Every major city. We have been, of course, Chicago. I have lived in Wisconsin for 16 years now, and every time we cross through Chicago, we end up hitting road construction. So road construction has been going on in Chicago for 16 years. I can honestly say that. That is, we've hit it every time. We've gone through Indianapolis several times. They've got road construction going on there, and that's been like a 10-year project. They have literally ripped out intersection ramps and built new ones, and that has taken years in the making in order to do over on the east side and the west side. And that's when we go, still having family down in the Cincinnati area. We come out of Wisconsin, cross through Indianapolis in order to get down to Cincinnati, and so we got to travel east to west through Indianapolis, and we don't go north and south through it. And on the east side and the west side, they have literally ripped out all the ramps and replace them. And that's been a 10-year project in order to do that. So you got to slow. You come into Indianapolis, you go down to 20 miles an hour. You go out of Indianapolis, you're still, 20 miles an hour. Then you come back home, and it's 10 miles an hour getting into Indianapolis.
And what? Yeah.
Just,
yeah, I am.
It's a grind.
I am much better at sound effects than you.
Oh, well, bleh. Just bleh.
You want to prove it, huh?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Like explosions, right?
Go. Let me hear you.
Okay, you want to hear my explosion?
I want to hear you. Go for it.
Okay.
That is so unfair.
That was pretty good, right?
That is so
sounded just like an explosion.
It's so unfair.
It was good.
It was okay.
I'm good.
Wow. Sorry. Yes, you got me on that one. All right. So anyway, but you know what else gets me?
What?
So now in Wisconsin, they have gone from us educated drivers knowing how to come to a four-way stop. You got the four-way stop thing going on.
Not this. You're not gonna bring
this
up.
I
thought you said you didn't want to rail about stuff.
I did. Okay, I'm going to rail just in this first section, though. We have a very inspiring later show. By the way, we got the last. Oh no, we have the last part of Fatman and Bobbin is coming up, so everybody needs to stay tuned for that. But no, seriously, you when I went through driving, I never went through driving school, but I got the book and I sit down and my dad teaches me how to drive, and you go through the book and it backed up everything that he said, which meant that my dad learned how to drive right. That is a funny thought, but anyway, so anyway, you come to a four-way stop. The four-way stop. It's really not that hard of a concept. So you come to the four-way stop, and if you're the through traffic, you have right of way. So if you have through traffic is the main road, and there's a 4-lane stop, that means the two side roads that come up to each side, they have to wait to get in, because if you're through traffic, I have right of way. But if it's just a regular 4-lane stop and all the roads are regular, there's no through traffic road that you're on, so everybody stops. The first person that approaches the stop sign has the right of way. Wow, that's mind-blowing. All right. If cars approach at the same time, cars going through have the right of way. If you're turning, you wait for the car to go through, then you're the next car in order, and then you go if you're turning right or turning left, however that is. Oh, that's so simple. What? We came at the same time, but he's going straight and I'm turning. He's right. If we're both going straight, well, you don't have to worry because you're in opposite lanes passing each other.
Most people know. Most people know the rules of the road. What's your point?
Are you serious? So the state of Wisconsin has decided that those rules are way too complicated. No. People can't do that in Wisconsin. And so it's going to be much faster if we rip out 4-way stops and put in this thing called a roundabout.
Dun, dun, dun.
I hate these roundabouts.
I should have had a sound effect for that.
You should have had a sound effect for that. Roundabouts. So
Try it again.
Roundabouts. Was it that epic?
It was decent.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. So, but the principle is the same in a roundabout. There really is no difference. Yet, everybody feels, because instead of having a stop sign at a roundabout, you have a yield sign, which up here in Wisconsin, for some reason, yield does not mean stop.
It doesn't.
Of course not. It
means stop if you have to.
Up here, it's not even that. It's it is yield. Hey, watch out for that guy that's coming from your left to the right. That's all it means. Watch out. At least that's the way it's taken up here. There is no pause. The other person has right of way. You go to enter into this circle. The person who's already in the circle has right of way. No. Yield means, hey, think of this as a NASCAR, a little tiny NASCAR track, and if you can beat them in, you win. I am not kidding you. I cannot begin to tell you how many times I am in the circle, and this guy's going, oh, I can beat him coming around, and take off in front.
Oh, that was a pretty good one.
And take off in front of me, and I'm in the roundabout, and I have to slow down. There was one time I enter into a roundabout, and I get around, and the guy behind me decides that he didn't want to go around. He goes up and over the middle of the roundabout and beats me to the other side. I am not kidding you. He goes through the middle of the roundabout as I enter in, brake to the right. I'm driving around, and all of a sudden, here he is. He beats me to the other side because he's just got to get in front of me. And he goes through the middle of the roundabout, up over the mound, and he had a trailer on too, a horse trailer. And as I slam on my brakes,
you really think he did that on purpose?
He didn't turn to the right. What do you think? I'm just like, oh man, give me a 4-way stop, please. Give me a 4-way stop. So anyway, we kind of want to know what your opinion is.
Now that I've vented,
my producer is giving me the I'm tired of hearing you whine symbol. So anyway, what we want to know from B. Andrews' point of view is, what do you think about these things called roundabouts? Do you like them?
B. Andrews doesn't want to know. Eric does.
Okay, I am looking.
Some of the rest of us, and I'm not naming who, we really don't care.
Are you serious? It doesn't bother you that much?
No, I'm good.
Serious?
Good. I have more important things to complain about.
Oh, okay.
Like people complaining about things.
Oh,
that really
man.
drives me nuts. I can't stand it when people just sit and complain about things. Round things.
Wait till somebody cuts you off in a roundabout and you're the guy who has a right of way and it's like, this is supposed to be simpler? All right. So listen, on the B. Andrews Facebook page, and by the way, you can find us on B. Andrews at Facebook by that name. First name, B-E, last name, Andrews, A-N-D-R-E-W-S. Look us up. Check us out. B. Andrews on Facebook. There will be a poll there. You can feel free to answer the question on the poll. And when you do that, you can also leave a comment or just leave a comment on our page that you got to hear about this and tell us what you think about roundabouts. And if you agree with me, leave a message. If you don't agree with me, find John's page and put it on his.
Don't.
Because I don't want to hear about it. I want people to agree with. Right now, I need to feel.
You just said leave a message 3 times. 3 different ways.
I want to feel loved. So I want people to agree with me.
Is that how that works?
That's how that works. If you agree with me, it makes me feel loved. So we have a very much likable opinion. So anyway, tell us what you feel about that. Also, maybe you could tell us how it's going in your state. If you were able to get the barrels lifted off of the interstate where you live and if traffic is flying pretty good. By the way, tomorrow is the day after the 4th of July. Guess what comes back? Barrels. All the construction barrels that got lifted for the weekend. So it'll be back to normal tomorrow. So anyway, where you are, hope that the traffic is moving pretty good. Where we are, we're going to be doing okay, but be getting back to normal. So I'm running kind of low on my cup of coffee. How are you doing on yours? How you doing on yours,
I thought
John?
you were asking them.
I am asking
Mine's
them.
doing great.
Yours doing great? Well, I'm going to need a refill, and if you need a refill, this is a great time to take a break. So you're listening to the B. Andrews Radio Show. Go get a refill and come on back, and we'll talk a little bit more about the 4th of July.
When we last saw the weight-wearing wonders, they had just entered the Wigglesworth weight loss workout world
LLC, where they learned that the wonky Wigglesworth was actually the ridiculously red-suited Sanguine. After which, our hefty heroes were properly pounced upon by his heinous henchmen.
Circumferencing siege, Fat Man! We're surrounded, and the Sanguine's getting away!
Fatman, I've slipped your grasp again. You'll catch me when pigs fly.
Looking around for a way of escape, Fat Man spies a seesaw in the middle of the tyrannical trap.
That's it. Quick, Bobbin. With your new plus size, initiate attack plan Soaring Sow.
Fat Man portly plods on the low side of the seesaw.
Cowering catapults, Fat Man! I don't know if I can do it!
It's okay, Bobbin. Just trust your gut.
With that prodding plotted, Bobbin jumps on the high end of the seesaw, sending the fleshly flailer flailing through the air over the palisade of people and hardly landing directly on the insidious red-suited Sanguine. The Sanguine lets out a little whine.
No crime is too small to be punished. No evildoer is too insignificant to pursue. All who dare come to Gotham and commit fiendishly inveterate acts must face me and my portly partner.
Fatman.
And when they do,
Sir, could you please get off me? Please.
Oh, sure.
And with the creative capture of the slap-happy Sanguine, Fat Man reports to Commissioner Gordy.
Well, Fat Man, it looks like you've put away another perpetrator.
Yes, but prison may not be the best punishment for his anti-establishment antics.
What do you mean?
Just listen to him.
I guess now I'll have time to finish Pride and Prejudice. Ooh, and needlepoint. I'll finally have time to learn needlepoint.
Huh. I see what you mean. Oh well. Load 'em up, boys. We have to get our prisoner to the Gotham City jail.
As the consummate commissioner drives away and Fat Man hops in the Trans-Fatmobile, a prescient pondering perturbs our hefty hero. Bobbin waddles his way toward the driver's side door.
Something big is coming.
Oh,
Not you, Bobbin. Big change. Speaking of big change, I'm making you walk back to the man cave.
while you drive?
Don't worry, I'll hang a donut out the window.
Welcome back to the B. Andrews Radio Show. It's good to have you here with us, and I tell you, we really, really appreciate you listening in to our radio show and our podcast. It would be a big help, and it would be quite a privilege if you could do us a favor. We're trying to increase our audience, and that happens primarily by people sharing our radio show with other people. So you could do one of two things, orally, verbally, whichever way you want to say it. If you would tell other people about the B. Andrews Radio Show podcast and let them know and say, hey, man, you ought to click in on these guys. They are funny. They are really wacky. They're really whatever. But whatever they are, hey, you really need to listen to them. Or if you would, just take the links that we put up as other people ask about it and click it and share on with your friends and just really get it out there. We're trying to increase our listenership, and you are a vital way of that happening. So when you share the show, when you put it on your webpage, when you share it on somebody else's page or tag people in it so that they will go there, it is a tremendous, tremendous help to us. And for those of you that do that kind of thing, I just want to say thank you so much. Don't forget, with the B. Andrews Radio Show, you can also go to Spreaker.com/B. Andrews Radio Show, and you can download the shows from there so that you can put it on your mobile device and listen to us wherever you go. So when you download it, you can listen to us when you have the time to be able to do that. So I want to thank you for that. And Thank you for that. I'm speaking to John. He's putting the fan on me here, so I really appreciate that. Well, also, you guys don't know this out there in Radio Land, but we have guests in our studio audience this morning. Studio audience is something that we, rarely get. First off, we don't have a room that's really big enough for a studio audience. Would that be your take on it, John? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's barely big enough for a studio.
Yeah, let alone a studio audience. But we do have 3 people in the studio that we kind of hung them up on the wall. 2 are my 2 nieces are here from Cincinnati. I was just talking about Cincinnati a little while ago. And my daughter. So we've got Kimberly, Amberly, and Karen are in studio. Everybody say hey.
Wow. That was very enthusiastic.
They have come to see how radio magic is made, and it's really not all that impressive, just 2 guys talking into a microphone.
I don't have a wand.
Yeah, so we just really don't do that kind of a thing. Everything that we see, we do, we think it's in our heads. So when we share this, I just want everybody out there in Radio Land to know you're in my head right now. Is that a spooky thought?
That spooks me.
And you're across the room. That's pretty good. So
in your head.
And you're across the room and in my head. So my nieces are from Cincinnati, and they are up. I had given a shout out to them a couple of weeks ago. I made the very large mistake of saying Kimberly Dirty instead of Kimberly Derby, which is her name.
He did that.
And I'd apologize for that. And so she listens to the show because, I get a text from her. Really? Kimberly Dirty? And it's like, sorry. So it lets me know that she's at least listening. And the cool thing is I have not messed up Amberly's name yet. But in speaking of that, we asked them. You can't hear her because she's making hand gestures across the room, ladies and gentlemen, but she's giving us the big yay sign. And so, Amberly, you want us to give a shout out to... Yes. So who is that?
That was,
I interpret that motion. A shout out to...
I forgot his name.
Logan?
Yeah.
That's it. Logan Sankey.
Yeah.
There you go. So shout out to Logan Sankey.
Logan Sankey.
And Kimberly Dirty wants us to give a shout out to...
Josiah.
Does
surname...
Does Josiah have a surname?
Say it.
Say it. Real loud.
Say it again.
Kaiser. So Josiah Kaiser. Way to go, Josiah. So you are... There you go. You are on the frontal lobe of Kimberly's mind.
There you go.
And
that's an interesting place to be.
So my daughter's here. Kay, do you have somebody to give a shout out to? Who should we? Yes. So we give a shout out to. Come on. Okay, to Danny, but we've given shouts outs to Danny.
Danny
before.
K.
Danny Kane, not K.
Shout outs
Kane.
all around. Shout outs for everybody.
Danny Kane.
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 What did I say?
I thought you just said Danny K.
No, Kane.
All right. So, anyway, all right, shout-outs to Danny, Josiah, and Logan. Way to go, guys. Hope you're listening to this show. I just spent like 8 minutes in the last section railing because... Yes. Would you call that railing?
Yes.
Not even a hesitation there,
nope.
Man. Seriously? Was it that bad?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, can't get those 8 minutes back. So anyway, we thought we would turn to something of more of a positive nature to try to be uplifting on this day, the 4th of July, the independence celebration of our country. And we're going to an individual kind of a situation because the independence of our country came with the attitude of people who were willing to give of themselves in lots of different situations. And we're going to pick up a little bit more historically on that. But what we are going to do is John had a great story about kind of a famous person, but that really gave of himself individually. So you're on, John. Run with this story.
Okay. Everybody knows the name. Well, probably not everybody. But I suppose the elderly not necessarily talking about you. I suppose the elderly people would
That
know
felt
the name.
That felt very
That was-
pointed.
That was very directed. The name Lou Ferrigno, and you tell me, why do you know the name Lou Ferrigno?
Lou Ferrigno played on the TV show The Incredible Hulk, but I knew Lou Ferrigno before
As
a bodybuilder.
No, as
The Hulk.
Yeah, there you go.
but I knew about Lou Ferrigno and Arnold Schwarzenegger as a young kid because of bodybuilding magazines and different things like that. That both of them were like in direct competition with each other for Mr. Universe and Mr. World, and so I knew them from there before the show ever came out.
Well, if you guys ever seen it, they didn't have anything in the way of CGI back then for maybe some of the younger people that haven't seen it. So basically what they had to do is they had to get a guy that really was that big and that muscular to play the Incredible Hulk.
That hulking.
He is pretty frightening, and they just painted him green. That's about it. So
Actually, they did put that not plastic, but the gel head thing on him to give him more of a Cro-Magnon
but it didn't
forehead.
do anything for his muscles.
No,
those
that's
are all
all
him.
him.
He's pretty scary. Anyway, so the story is from USA Today, and it goes like this. So, Knoxville, Tennessee, a father and son at the Fanboy Expo Comic Con got some unexpected help from a live-action hero Friday. Frank McAllister, in a Facebook post, said he and his son Ted were at the comic convention in Knoxville to meet the people behind the animated characters he grew up watching. So, Ted, thank you for fanning me. It's really hot in here. Anyway.
It's all the extra bodies.
Yes. That sounded weird. Ted had his picture taken with Lou Ferrigno, best known for portraying the Incredible Hulk in the 1978 Marvel Comics character-based TV show of the same name, and the two stopped to talk with the actor and bodybuilder. That's when he noticed Ted was shaking and having difficulty getting his words out. Ferrigno told USA Today Network Tennessee in a Sunday interview. Ferrigno leaned over to Frank and told him Ted was trying to say something he couldn't understand, according to the Post. Lou Ferrigno also has hearing problems. I turned and knew immediately that Ted was having a seizure, wrote McAllister, whose Facebook profile says he lives in Philadelphia, Tennessee. He did not respond to a request for comment Sunday. Ferrigno said he ran to grab hold of Ted before he collapsed and then cleared the booth where they were standing. McAllister helped Ted sit on the floor. Ferrigno called for paramedics. They responded immediately, but the whole time the Incredible Hulk made sure I had everything I needed, McAllister wrote. I don't know about you, but I don't think I would deny anything the Incredible Hulk asked for at that point.
Yeah, take this.
It's like,
Yes, sir.
he's still a big dude. So why was Lou Ferrigno so calm? Ferrigno, who volunteers as a sheriff's deputy when he's not playing the role of the Incredible Hulk, said when Ted started to collapse and fall backwards, he immediately began running through a list in his head of what could be going on, whether it was a stroke, a diabetic attack, a heart attack, or something. I ran to grab him and make sure he wouldn't injure himself, and his father immediately said it was a seizure, Ferrigno said. I'm glad he sat down, and we got a support on his head and got the paramedics in right away and kept him calm, I told him. Come on back later, and I'll take another picture. Thank goodness he was okay. After a visit with an EMT, Ted recovered and was able to go back for the picture, according to McAllister's post, which included the photo of his son standing next to Ferrigno, both smiling and flexing their muscles. So, talk about a real-life action hero, McAllister wrote. This man is the real deal. It was an absolute honor to shake his hand and a greater honor to say thank you to a gentle giant. Ferrigno, however, said he wasn't doing anything that he wouldn't normally do in his work as a sheriff's deputy. He volunteers 20 to 30 hours per month as a reserve deputy for both Los Angeles and County Sheriff's Department. I don't speak that language. He's also deputized in 8 other states, and on Sunday was wearing a pin of pink sheriff star from Webb County, Texas.
Come on, man. Go back and say that name. Come on, man. Come on.
St. Louis Obispo County. San Luis Obispo County. I
Okay.
told you, I don't speak that language.
Gotcha. So, could you imagine being somewhere in Los Angeles, rounding a corner, being a bad guy, rounding a corner, being a bad guy, rounding the corner, and there stands the Hulk. I mean, I'm running. No problem. So anyway, kudos to Lou Ferrigno. And you know what I think is really cool is here's a guy who has been on TV who is a regular guy. That's one of the things that's like, these celebrities, a lot of celebrities nowadays, the way that they are. Did I say celebrities? Anyway, a lot of celebrities that are on TV nowadays they just don't seem to be real. And this is real stuff. It's encouraging. Well, you know what? I need some real liquid in my cup. So how about you? By the way, John, we haven't said it this time. Hey, everybody. Cups up. And go get a refill. And we'll come back, and we've got another section of the B. Andrews Radio Show that we're going to cover. So get that refill, and we'll redo some more for you. You're listening to the B. Andrews Radio Show.
So let's call him Joe, cause he's a real good friend. He wants to start a fight when things aren't right in this world that we're living in. So it says to him, Joe, I know that you know that fighting never pays. So instead of a fight when things aren't right, why don't you start with a quarter parades?
Hey, if you want to be a part of the show, connect with us on Twitter at B. Andrews Band, all lowercase, BANDREWS BAND, or IM us at Facebook by going to B. Andrews. That's first name B, B-E, last name Andrews, ANDREWS. Welcome back to the third and final segment of the B. Andrews Radio Show. This show has absolutely flown. We've covered some different subject matters. Of course, I chewed up the first 8 minutes with railing on.
That's what did it.
Yeah.
Time always seems to fly when you're complaining.
Having fun. It's supposed to be having fun.
Having fun?
Yeah.
Having fun complaining?
I guess I was. Anyway, let's turn our minds towards this holiday, though, for just a second. And one of the things we did our last segment on individual heroism in the modern day. It was good to have a good story like that. And, we should do a segment. I think we need to start doing that. Try to find good news to bring into our show. So find a story or something that just says, that this is a bit of good news. You think we can do that from time to time? Well,
yeah.
See if we can do that each week. Just have a little segment where we bring some good news into the show. So that's going to be something that we're going to try to make a regular part of the show, because there's just so much negative stuff. As we said when we first started our show, that, the whole reason for doing this is because there's so much out there that is just so negative. People are turning their minds to the negativity of modern politics and this, that, and the other, and there's just way too much negativity. So we want to bring some positive conversation. And as we bring that positive conversation in, and we want to turn our minds towards the positive things that are about this particular holiday, the 4th of July. Of course, it is the celebration of how we became a country, the beginnings of America. We started off as these colonies, and I want to bring to you the forgotten people, a couple of forgotten names that came out of bringing us into being a country. And let me just pose these three names to you. One of them is John Parker, or also known as Captain John Parker. Another one is Colonel James Barrett. There's another name I want you to remember. And third is Dr. Joseph Warren, who not only is Dr. Joseph Warren, but also known as Major General Joseph Warren. So let me kind of explain how these three guys, they're really forgotten in history. There's other people that we remember in their place, but these particular guys are kind of forgotten. And it starts with Dr. Joseph Warren and John Parker. These are just normal guys doing their own job, and even Colonel James Barrett. So the British are starting to hammer down on the colonists, because they're colonies at that time. There is no United States. And they're hammering down on them. And this guy by the name of Dr. Joseph Warren is kind of getting people together and saying, hey, the crown is being this way. What about our freedom? And so there's these people who are wanting freedom, and he's bringing them all together. And so they say, and that's 1775 is the year that we're talking about. Actually, some of it starts in 1774. And they all in Massachusetts, and they look at him and they say, you're the educated man. We want you to lead us. And so out of these group of people who are being revolters or revolutionists, they look to Dr. Joseph Warren, and they say to him, you lead us, and they commission him as Major General. And underneath of him, so they start setting up a militia, and he talks with this fella by the name of Colonel James Barrett, who lives outside of town. And since he's outside of town, they start collecting things for a militia, gunpowder. They have one cannon, and in the cannon and the gunpowder and everything, they hide them out at James Barrett's farm. And James Barrett is housing them and having them out there. And so once they enlist Joseph Warren as Major General, because he's the educated guy in town, he starts putting people underneath of him. And one of those is John Parker. So Dr. Joseph, Major General Joseph Warren, is realizing that the British have caught on that they are putting together a militia. Well, that's an act of treason to the crown. And when the British learn this, they have underneath General Thomas Gage, he sets the order to go take that armory away from James Barrett. So what they want to know, and they want to protect that armory that Colonel James Barrett is putting together. And so Dr. Joseph Warren, or Major General Joseph Warren of Massachusetts, he puts together this idea. We're going to have scouts that are going to watch, and we're going to gather together the militiamen. And what we're going to do is we'll get them at the very last minute, which is where they come up with the term Minutemen. And he said, we're going to gather them at the very last minute to protect this, but we all have to hide in our homes, because if we set up a wall, then it looks like we're looking for a battle, but we want to have a very last minute kind of attack to them. So be ready, guys, and have your guns by the door. Well, how are we going to know? Well, I need two writers, one by the name of Paul Revere and the other by the name of William Dawes, and you guys are just going to go racing through town and shouting that the British are coming. But there's one thing that we don't know. Are they going to come by land, or are they going to come by sea? And Dr. Joseph Warren says, I'll tell you what, the highest point in town is the church tower, and there's a bell up in there. And if they come by land, we'll hang one lantern. And if they come by sea, we'll hang two. Now, he's the one that came up with that idea and the whole plan. But who do we remember?
That would be Paul Revere.
We remember Paul Revere because he went riding through town. But who was
We don't even remember William Dawes.
Don't even remember William Dawes. And so we remember him, and we don't remember Captain John Parker, because once they came on, he was Captain John Parker. He was the first one that set up a line of these Minutemen at Lexington to hold them off, because when Colonel James Barrett found out that they were coming for the armory that he was housing in his barn on his farm, which, by the way, is still standing.
Really?
You can go see it. He was housing them there. It allowed him and other men to grab all that stuff and go hide it out in the woods. So Captain John Parker did a huge thing by holding them off so that they could move the armory, but they were terribly defeated by they were outnumbered by the Redcoats. But do we remember John Parker and what he did, Captain John Parker? And so the Redcoats march onto Concord, where Colonel James Barrett is, and then he rallies John Parker's troops, and they have another battle at Concord the very next day, April 19th, 1775. Later on that year, knowing that they had full set into motion that they were going to go against the Redcoats, against the British Crown, they came. One other little note. Dr. Joseph Warren, Major General Joseph Warren, was not so proud of his position. He knew what his limitations were. He went underneath Colonel James Barrett and said, I may be an educated man, but I am not a warrior, and I don't know anything about war. And he picked up a gun and operated as a foot soldier underneath Colonel James Barrett. He lowered himself because they needed manpower, and and that's what he did. I think that is so cool. But then he served as the president of the provincial Congress, the first provincial Congress of Massachusetts, because they needed an educated man to be able to do that. But later on that year, on June 17th, 1775. So this was all April, and all of this happened. But on June 17th, 1775, we have the Battle of Bunker Hill. And once again, the president of the Congress lowered himself to become a foot soldier, picked up a rifle because he said, I don't know how to do this. And he served underneath this guy by the name of Colonel William Prescott, who goes on to have other victories in the Continental Army. But anyway, he serves underneath William Prescott at the Battle of Bunker Hill as a foot soldier, the president of the Congress, and becomes a privateer. Sorry, wrong word. Becomes a private foot soldier. That was his rank. And he died. He laid down his life for the freedom of his country. Now, here's the thing. How many of those guys do we remember? Because when later in June of that year, when the Continental Army is formed, the people who come together to form that Continental Army said, we need a leader who has, over the entire Continental Army, who has experience. And they did. They selected a guy who had experience from the French and Indian War, who fought in that French and Indian War for the British. And his name? General George Washington. And so that's who was selected to lead it. But we don't remember, we're not taught much about Captain John Parker. We're not told much about Captain James or Colonel James Barrett. And Dr. Joseph Warren, just because he was an educated man, they asked him to step up. But what was cool is he stepped up. And he did those particular things and was not so proud that he had to maintain the positions. In fact, he knew his limitations and backed off to allow people who were educated in order to do their particular jobs that they were way better at, that they were better leaders about. And so as we come to this holiday where we celebrate the beginning of our country, I am amazed, I am humbled, and I want us all to be reminded that where your talents lie, step up and be counted upon in order to serve. But if leadership befalls you and your talent is not in that area, be humble enough to lower yourself back down and allow the person who is better to take over that position, especially in times like these and where leadership really matters, and allow them to be the leader where they have better talent so that we can move forward and get along. Lots of us are involved in volunteer organizations, and in those all these that I just talked about, where Joseph Warren served, Dr. Joseph Warren served, it was all volunteer. Nobody was getting paid, and life was on the line. Well, lots of us serve in volunteer organizations nowadays, and how much better would they be if people who had the talent served in those areas? And if you're accidentally misplaced, and that's not where your talent lies, to take yourself and step aside and allow the better person to serve. That requires humility. Ladies and gentlemen, let's be humble so that we can accomplish great things in our country. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today's show. We just want to challenge you, and we want to welcome you back here for our next show, the B. Andrews Radio Show, next Tuesday. God bless. Have a great 4th of July. See ya.